Hello, dear students. My name is C. Radhakrishna. I am working as senior lecturer in chemistry. We have been doing the environmental studies. We have been learning environmental studies for the past few lectures, for the past few classes. In this chapter, we have seen what is certain important terms which are used in the environmental pollution. We have also learned about lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, biosphere, etc. We have seen what is air pollution and what are the causes of air pollution, both natural causes as well as man-made causes. We have learned, and we have also seen, we have also learned the effects of different air pollutants on human beings, animals, and plants. We have also seen the classification of pollutants as well as classification of air pollutants also. We have also seen the methods of control of air pollution. Then we moved on to the topic water pollution. We have seen the definition of water pollution and the causes of water pollution we have seen. And in the last class we have learned about the effects of water pollution. And now we shall deal with in this class we shall deal with the controlling methods of water pollution. Okay, let's try to learn about controlling methods of water pollution. Okay, so before that let's try to recapitulate what are the causes of water pollution. The causes of water pollution are releasing domestic sewage, okay, releasing domestic sewage. Domestic sewage consists of our excreta, urine, the soap materials, kitchen waste, etc. All these are released into the drainage system, that is part of our municipal corporation laid down drainage. Okay, into a drainage system. From drainage system these are left, these are released into the nearby rivers and streams. Actually they should be properly processed, the pollutants should be removed, the water must be sterilized, and then it should be released after removing all the pollutants. But nothing of that sort is happening. Okay, instead this domestic waste, domestic sewage is being released directly into the nearby rivers and streams. Okay, domestic wastage is high in organic content, very high in organic content. The very nature is okay, and it's also high in the bacterial load. It depletes the whenever it finds itself its way into the fresh water, rivers or streams. It decreases the amount of dissolved oxygen available, because this organic component being biodegradable, it will be worked upon by various microorganisms. Okay, various microorganisms, either aerobically, mostly aerobically. Okay, so when they decompose these organic materials, they multiply quite fast, and for their own survival, being living beings, they are also living beings. So for their own survival, they use oxygen present in the water. The more is the organic pollution, the more is the biodegrading microorganisms, and more will be the requirement of oxygen, and more oxygen they will be utilizing, more and more dissolved oxygen present in the water they will be utilizing, okay, to remove, to decompose this organic matter. So the more is the organic matter, the more will be the pollution, the less will be the dissolved oxygen. If dissolved oxygen decreases less than 4 to 6 micrograms per liter of water, it endangers the aquatic species. Okay, so domestic sea waste, which is collectively called as sewage, is being released into the untreated into the rivers and streams. Next comes next major factor that pollutes comes from industrial effluents. Most of the industries use water for washing purpose, as a reaction medium, okay, as a solvent, for many purposes. And one of the prime criterion for setting up industries is the availability of water. Industries are usually set up where the water is abundantly available. Okay, so they need huge quantities of water for day-to-day operations, and they release used water. Okay, the liquid waste which industries release are called as effluents. The gaseous waste are called as emissions, whereas liquid waste are called as industrial effluents. Okay, these industrial effluents are released into nearby lakes and streams. So these industrial effluents contain lots of chemicals which are highly toxic to the living beings, like phenols, acids, bases, salts of heavy metals, other chemicals, organic solvents, etc. All these will be part of the industrial effluents. So these as actually they have to be neutralized, chemicals has to be neutralized and precipitated and filtered and removed from the waste. Industrial effluent treatment plants are also set up in many industrial areas, but most of them are not, many of them are not working quite efficiently, leaving much to be desired in their working, and all this is going to pollute our water bodies and other resources. Okay, and industrial effluents are highly toxic in nature, highly toxic being chemicals, highly toxic in nature, so it's very difficult to escape their effects. And next comes say major part is for water pollution is played by the domestic sewage and industrial effluents. The next cause of water pollution is practice of unhygienic things. Like in many villages, even today in the rural areas, they practice open defecation. Many areas in India, even today, people practice open defecation. Where do this night soil go? Along with the rains and running water, it will go and mix in the rivers and streams. Okay, not only night unhygienic practice of open defecation, people wash their clothes in the open rivers, streams and tanks, polluting the water, and also they wash their cattle and other animals, milk animals, in the open water, thus causing a lot of pollution. All these practices can be called as unhygienic practices. These unhygienic practices pollute the water quite a lot. Okay. Then we come to the agricultural waste. See, to support increasing population is increasing by leaps and bounds, but the area under agriculture is not increasing, it is remaining more or less the same. Okay, so from the same plot of land, as the time goes by, we need to feed more and more mouths from the same plot of land. For this, farmers are adopting what we call as intensive agriculture. The practice of intensive agriculture makes use of lots of chemical fertilizers, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc. Many chemicals. Okay, these are all sprayed onto the crops. Insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, etc. They are sprayed onto the crops. Fertilizers are thrown onto the field. Okay, much of the fertilizers as well as these insecticides, herbicides, okay, etc. All of them, most of them they fall on the ground, they remain on the ground itself. Much of it will not be absorbed by the plants, they remain there. And when it rains heavily, these chemical fertilizers, chemical manures, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, all these will be washed away along with the flowing water. Okay, they will be washed away along with the flowing water, and they will be led to the nearby rivers and streams. So, because this is called as commonly called as surface runoff. It is called as surface runoff. Due to this surface runoff, excessive fertilizers, manures, pesticides, insecticides are reaching the rivers and streams or even lakes and tanks. This is called eutrophication. Due to this, a lot of algae is growing in the still waters like tanks and lakes, okay, which uses up much of the oxygen, much of the dissolved oxygen. Okay, so this surface runoff is heavily polluting the water bodies, causing the growth of unwanted plants and unwanted flora and fauna, which is harmful to which causes enormous water pollution and harmful to the beings, life forms. So, because of the intensive agriculture, practice of intensive agriculture, which is inevitable, okay, and excessive use of fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, etc. These are finding, along with the flowing rainwater, they are finding their way into water bodies, polluting them heavily. Okay, so the agriculture wastes are finding their way into water bodies, polluting the water bodies. Then comes oil pollution. Much of the world's oil is carried by oil tankers through the high seas, and sometimes in some areas pipelines are also laid down to carry the crude oil from one place to another. Sometimes oil may leak from these ships or from these pipelines. If the oil leaks, this crude oil being lighter than the water, it floats on the surface of the water, forming a thick layer. This layer cuts off the contact of surrounding air with the water. If the air is in contact with water, since 21% of air is oxygen itself, the oxygen dissolves in water. Oxygen dissolves in has a high solubility in the water, and whenever air is in contact with water, oxygen dissolves in the water, and it exists in the form of DO, dissolved oxygen, available to the aquatic flora and fauna. But when oil pollution occurs, oil is leaked into the water surface, water. This contact with air is contact of air with water is cut off because of the intervening or oil barrier of the oil layer. So dissolved oxygen diminishes, decreases, suffocating the aquatic flora and fauna. Recently, even today, you have oil leaking off the Mauritius coast. A ship anchored there for about 2 months started leaking oil, polluting the Mauritius coast. And the government as well as people in Mauritius are at their wits' end what to do. It's heavily polluting their entire coast, jeopardizing the tourism industry on which their economy is revolves around, as well as their own food supply. That is also compromised because of this oil pollution. Okay, and radioactive elements. Radioactive elements spontaneously release radiations like alpha, beta, gamma. This is because of instability in their nuclei. They are nuclei of very heavy metals above atomic number 82, that is lead, above lead. Okay, because of adverse neutron proton ratio, they keep on disintegrating and keep on releasing alpha, beta and gamma rays. These rays, when if living organisms are exposed to these rays, they cause mutations in their genetic material. Mutation is a sudden change in the genes or genetic material of an organism. Okay, these mutations will be inherited. They will be passed on from one generation to another generation, next generation, from parents to offspring. These mutations they will cause serious genetic changes, so the offspring may find the survival difficult. It may lead to fatal changes. Not only that, exposure to these radiations will cause cancer. They are carcinogenic in nature. These radiations are. So use of radioactive materials is causing enormous damage to the environment. These radioactive elements material is used in the nuclear power generation, fabrication of nuclear material, nuclear fuel. In Secunderabad itself, in our own state, we have got NFC nuclear fuel complex where the fuel is fabricated for the use in the nuclear power plants and other areas. They also find military uses in the form of nuclear bombs, nuclear fission bombs. Okay, nuclear fission bombs. The bombs dropped, atom bombs dropped on the Hiroshima, Nagasaki during the Second World War, which caused enormous devastation and destruction, are examples of this nuclear bombs. Okay, so they can be used for defense purposes as well as for electricity generation. They are also being used actively in the production of new variety of plants and seeds, agriculture, in the agriculture breeding, and also they are using for the medical purposes. But use is okay, but they must be properly disposed. There must be a proper disposal of these materials, otherwise they cause enormous damage. Okay. Okay, these are some of the causes of water pollution, okay, which you have learned. And how do we define a water pollution? The changes in physical, chemical, and biological. Biological can also be called as physiological, okay. The changes in the physical, chemical, and physiological properties of water due to action of unwanted materials. Due to action of unwanted materials is called as water pollution. Okay, in today's class, let's try to learn how to combat or overcome this water pollution. Methods of control of water pollution. The following methods can be used to control the water pollution. Treatment of sewage or domestic waste or drainage water. The drainage water consists of chiefly the domestic waste. We call that as sewage also. Then treatment of industrial effluents and controlling the unhygienic practices, stabilization of the ecosystem, removal of the pollutants. We can study the methods of control of water pollution under these heads, like treatment of sewage or drainage water, treatments of industrial effluents, controlling the unhygienic practices, the stabilization of the ecosystem, and the removal of the pollutants from the water. Okay, let's take one by one. Let us deal with them one by one. Okay. Drainage water treatments. See, several problems arise if sewage water is allowed to enter into a river without treatment. The severity of the problem. See, if drainage water without any treatment, if it is left in the, if it is channeled into rivers or streams, the river will be heavily polluted. The living example is our own Musi river in the Hyderabad, okay, which is flowing by Hyderabad, our own Musi river. It is heavily polluted by the sewage streams. Understand? So, sewage causes enormous water pollution, okay, enormous water pollution if it is directly mixed in the rivers and streams without any treatment. The severity of the problem depends upon the volume of effluents and size of the river. If the volume of sewage is quite large and the river is small, the effect will be magnified. There is a hell lot of effect on the river water. If the volume of effluent or volume of sewage is less and river is very large, maybe the sewage may be sufficiently diluted because of the large volume of the river water and its fast flowing nature. It will be dissipated. So it depends on the volume of the sewage as well as the size of the volume of water in the river. Okay, both these factors also influence. But basically, leaving sewage water into the channeling sewage water into the rivers and streams will cause a hell of a pollution, heavy lot of pollution. Living example is okay, our own Musi river in our own city. Okay. Treatment of drainage water is carried out in 3 stages. First stage is called primary or mechanical treatment. Primary treatment or mechanical treatment. In this primary treatment or mechanical treatment, what happens is filtration will be done by means of filtration will be done by means of placing bar screens and mesh screens in the path of the water. These will hinder or stop the movement of heavy particles like pebbles, bricks, large size particles, as well as floating matter like twigs, wooden pieces, plastic covers, papers, etc. All these will be stopped, can be stopped by screening the flowing water with the bar screens or mesh screens, by treating the flowing water by bar screens or mesh screens. These screens will stop the flowing water. Okay, they will stop the large size particles and floating matter and allow water to flow freely. This water will contain small particles and minute particles. Okay. Sedimentation is done with or without coagulation. This water will be fed into huge tanks without disturbing the water, so that the particles present in this water will settle down at the bottom of the container. Okay. This process is called as gravity settling, or it is commonly called as sedimentation. Okay. After sedimentation, depending upon the requirement of purity, even microscopic particles of colloidal sizes, very minute sizes, which keep hanging in the water, can also be removed by means of coagulation. By adding coagulants like ferrous chloride, alum, etc., ferrous sulfate, ferric chloride, alum, etc. These substances, these coagulants will neutralize the charge present. Then will neutralize the charge present on these solid particles, and they will cause the precipitation. Of these solids. When the charge and these minute particles is neutralized, they will come together and form into larger aggregates. This is called as flocculation. 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 Once they form into larger sizes, okay, they are like larger particles with mass, okay, with sizable mass. They will come under the purview of gravitation. And due to gravity, they will settle down at the bottom. Okay. So this may, depending upon the end use of this water, this drainage water, coagulation may or may not be performed. Depending on the necessity of a degree of purification, coagulation will be performed. But sedimentation will be performed, screening will be performed in the primary or mechanical treatment of this sewage water. Okay, this is the first stage of treating the sewage water. In the second stage, sedimentation, you can see the diagram. Okay, during sedimentation, what's happening? The settlement of water for settling of suspended material. Sedimentation occurs. For sedimentation, water is sent into huge tanks. And left undisturbed over a period of time. The particles which are spread in the water, hang in water, they will settle down at the bottom of the container. Fine particles will remain floating. Okay, in the third diagram you can see, three diagrams are there in the figure 1. Okay, so in the third diagram you can see the minute particles are coming together to form larger aggregates and ultimately settling down at the bottom of the container. This is the process of coagulation. Okay, this is the process of coagulation. Both in the primary treatment or mechanical treatment, screens are used to mechanically remove large size particles and floating particles, and sedimentation is what is subjected to sedimentation, where small size particles or minute size particles will settle down due to gravitational force, and depending on the necessity, coagulation is also carried out by coagulants like alum, ferric chloride, ferric sulfate, ferrous sulfate, etc., whereupon even minute, very minute particles will settle down at the bottom. Okay, they will be removed from the water. Next, secondary treatment. This is also called as biological treatment. Secondary treatment is also called as biological treatment. It involves trickling filters or activated to secondary treatment is nothing but it is secondary treatment uses makes use of microorganisms to remove both soluble and insoluble organic matter. Okay, for this water is sent through trickling filters. Trickling filter means water flows down these very slowly, these filters very slowly, okay, very slowly, and these filters are equipped with microorganisms, large huge quantities of microorganisms, flora, okay, fauna, microorganism fauna, and these microorganisms will decompose the organic material, decompose the organic matter, okay, and convert this organic matter into carbon dioxide and nitrogen into nitrates. Okay, carbon dioxide, organic matter into carbon dioxide, and nitrogens into soluble form of nitrates, soluble nitrates. Okay, these microorganisms, the utilization is called as biological oxidation process. It is a process of biological oxidation of organic matter in the water. So, as a matter flows down the trickling filters, filters through the it passes through the filters very slowly, and these filters are highly enriched with microbial microbial species. Okay, these will oxidize the organic matter and nitrogenous matter. Organic matter will be converted into carbon dioxide, whereas nitrogen is converted into soluble nitrates, soluble nitrates. Or secondary treatment can also be carried out by activated sludge process. In the activated sludge process, chemical oxidation of organic matter and inorganic matter will also be taken place, okay, under aerobic conditions. Usually acidified potassium dichromate will be used for this oxidation in the oxidation sludge process, okay, and biological will also be used here, okay, in the secondary treatment, okay, the oxidizable impurities in the water will be oxidized. Okay, this is about the secondary or biological treatment, okay, of CAs. You can see the trickling filters. See, this keeps on rotating. The structure you have seen keeps on rotating, okay, and water will be distributed. The polluted water will be distributed throughout. Okay, there are different types of trickling filters so you can have, but the purpose is to distribute the water over a wide area, okay, infested with the microorganisms. This is one of the diagrams of the of your trickling filter, one of the trickling filters. Okay, you can also see other trickling filters also. Here you can see another trickling filter. This trickling filter throws water widely in a wide area like spraying, and it will be flown through the beds enriched with microorganisms where biological oxidation will take place. Okay, this is a trickling filter, example of another trickling filter. Okay, it keeps on moving. and this is also another example of a trickling filter. Okay, all these will be used to oxidize the pollutants present in the water. These trickling filters are activated sludge process. Both are used to increase the oxidation of organic matter especially, and certain inorganic matter will also be oxidized chemically. Organic will be oxidized mainly by microorganisms, whereas inorganic can be oxidized by chemical oxidation process. Chemical oxidation can also be used for oxidizing organic matter. Okay, and this is activated sludge process. Okay, this also removes activated sludge process acts chemically to oxidize the dissolved and present pollutants, both organic as well as inorganic. Okay, usually acidified potassium dichromate is used. Okay, for this oxidation. Acidified potassium dichromate is used for chemical oxidation of these pollutants. Okay, tertiary or advanced tertiary treatment or advanced biological, chemical and physical treatment. In this method, nitrogen and phosphorus compounds are removed. Okay, in this method, nitrogenous and phosphorus compounds are removed. Okay, precipitation by chemical methods. Okay, by phosphorus is precipitated by using proper chemicals, and nitrogen is also removed from the water. Phosphorus is removed in the form of precipitate. Nitrogen is removed in the form of nitrites and ammonia, in the form of nitrates and ammonia. And to make the water harmless, okay, chlorination is done. Chlorination is used for sterilization. Chlorination can be done either by adding bleaching powder CaOCl2 or directly liquid chlorine. If bleaching powder is added, when bleaching powder is added, it decomposes into chlorine gas and calcium hydroxide. This chlorine gas or liquid chlorine, it reacts with water. Okay, this chlorine gas or liquid chlorine which are added to the water, okay, they react with the water to form hydrochloric acid and hypochlorous acid, HCl and HOCl. This hypochlorous acid is highly unstable and it immediately decomposes into HCl and oxygen atom. See, in nature, oxygen exists mostly as O2, diatomic molecule. But here you have got here an oxygen atom is produced. This oxygen atom is extremely highly reactive. It reacts with whatever it comes across. So this is called as nascent oxygen or atomic oxygen. This oxygen atom kills the microorganisms present in the water. Okay, it is this the municipal people supplies drinking water. They also use this liquid chlorine for sterilization. Municipal people also use liquid chlorine for sterilization. Okay, next we have so far seen the treatment of sewage, which consists of 3 stages: primary or mechanical treatment, secondary or biological treatment, tertiary or chemical treatment. Okay, 3 stages we have seen. Okay, next treatment of industrial effluents. Say sewage is largely of the same nature. Okay, it doesn't differ much from house to house, largely of the same nature. But the industrial effluents, the waste of industries differ from one industries to another industry, depending upon the what type of industry it is, what chemicals it uses, they differ. So the effluents, industrial effluents differ from one industry to another industry. There is no specific method which can neutralize pollutants in all the industries, from all the industries. So industry specific method has to be evolved for treating this industrial effluents. Okay, generally to remove pollutants to a large extent, okay, the industrial effluents also, they are also subjected to the physical treatment, chemical treatment, and biological treatment. Physical treatment, chemical treatment, and biological treatment. The physical treatment or mechanical treatment again involves screening of solid materials. Okay, the chemical treatment basically involves neutralization of acids with suitable bases, as well as neutralization of bases with suitable acids, and also the precipitation of harmful chemicals by suitable chemical reactions, treating with the suitable chemicals and filtering the precipitates. This involves the chemical treatment. This is consists of the chemical treatment. Okay, this consists of the chemical treatment. Next, biological treatment. The organic substances which are present even in the industrial waste can be removed by can be oxidized by biological treatment. So industrial effluents will be treated in three ways: physical treatment, which removes large sized floating matter; chemical treatment, which removes the harmful chemicals and neutralizes the acids, bases, alkalis, phenols, etc. And other harmful chemicals, to the extent possible, can be filtered or turned into harmless forms by suitable chemical treatment, depending upon the nature of the chemical effluent. There is as such no general formula. Okay, it's not like same size fits all here in the case of chemical treatment. So each pollution from effluents from each industry have to be treated separately. Okay, have to be treated separately depending upon the nature of the chemical pollution. And finally biological treatment is carried out. Okay, finally biological treatment is carried out. And then another thing is the control of unhygienic practices. In India today, government is actively assisting the movement of toilet building for each family. This is to remove the scourge of open defecation, especially in the rural and semi-urban areas. Okay, the scourge of open defecation, people want to remove this scourge of open defecation. Okay, for this they are actively canvassing for the each family build its own toilet. Okay, to remove this open defecation, which is highly unhygienic practice. And besides this open defecation, people wash their clothes. Wash their clothes in rivers, open ponds, and also they wash their cattle also in the rivers, streams, open ponds, etc. So this must be prevented along with the unhygienic practice of open defecation. The washing of cloths in rivers and streams and ponds, as well as cleaning of animals in this should be prevented. There must be a mass movement against such practices. Government cannot alone cannot do anything about this. So there must be a massive practice movement, people's movement against this. People should be educated regarding the dangers of water pollution. Yeah, it must be, people must be made aware, and they must be made partners in this fight. Okay, they must be made partners in this fight against this kind of pollution. Okay, by making them aware as well as partners in the in preventing this. Okay, erring persons should be openly punished, publicly punished, so that that acts as a deterrent for others not to commit such things. Removal of pollutants. From polluted water, pollutants can be removed by by means of adsorption. ADSORPT. Adsorption is a surface phenomena. Okay, chemicals or pollutants are removed. They adhere to the surface of a filtering body. Okay, so that's called adsorption. Phenolic compounds can be removed by this. Ion exchange methods can be used to remove not only mercury but also many other salts of heavy metals which are highly polluting. Ion exchange process can be used. Reverse osmosis process can be used very economically and optimized. It can be optimized to remove salts, chemicals, other radioactive elements. Electrolysis, phosphates can be removed by means of electrolysis. Okay, adsorption is a process that occurs when a gas or liquid solute accumulates on the surface of the solid or a liquid adsorbent, forming a molecular atomic film. It is different from absorption, in which a substance diffuses into a liquid or solid to form a solution. Okay, adsorption and absorption. Osmosis, reverse osmosis can be used. Okay, the removal of salts from water through a semi-permeable membrane under high pressure. Okay, under high pressure is called as reverse osmosis. The pressure used to be must be in excess of osmotic pressure for this reverse osmosis. And nowadays people are using electro reverse osmosis, which is more easier and faster. Okay, stabilization of the ecosystem. Okay, further process is stabilizing the ecosystem, which involves reduction in the waste output. Okay, harvesting and removal of biomass like horseshoe weed, etc. Trapping of nutrients, using less and less fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, and using more natural fertilizers, aeration, fish management, etc. All these go and stabilize the ecosystem. Okay, we have studied about controlling methods of water pollution. Okay, and next let's go for the small few questions. Let's try to answer to test our understanding. What is the biological treatment of which is the biological treatment of domestic sewage? Coagulation, trickling filter, filtration, chlorination. Trickling filter is a biological treatment of domestic sewage. We have just learned. Okay, settlement of suspended matter in water is called settlement of suspended matter is called as sedimentation. Okay, next sterilization means removal of harmful bacteria, removal of phosphates, removal of nitrogen, removal of mercury. Removal of harmful bacteria or killing of harmful bacteria is called sterilization. Okay, frequently asked questions from this chapter. Explain the methods of control of water pollution. Next, you can ask as will be asked, explain the treatment of sewage, steps involved in the treatment of sewage, that will also be asked. Okay, thank you for listening patiently. This is the end of my lecture. Thank you. Okay.